the silent stars go by, yet in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. O morning stars together proclaim thy holy birth. Let praises ring from God, they bring goodwill to all on earth. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago. Christ, a homeless stranger, so the gospel say, cradled in a manger and a bed of hay. In the bleak midwinter, stable place sufficed. Mary and her baby, Jesus Christ. Once more child and mother weave their magic spell, touching hearts with wonder, words can never tell. In the bleak midwinter, in this world of pain, where our hearts are open, love is born again.
Good evening and welcome to Christmas Eve. Our teams at Foothills Unitarian and the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cheyenne are so pleased to welcome you to this magical night.
Even though we can't be together in person, it's one of the unexpected gifts in this unusual year that we can work together across the distance, and that we can be in your homes with you to celebrate Christmas together.
We know that for a lot of us, this year has been pretty challenging. With online school and missing our friends and family and lots of fear and uncertainty all around. Coming into the season, you might wonder what Christmas even means this year. Especially since we can't be in our sanctuary with all of our usual traditions on this night.
But that's exactly why we're so glad to be here together tonight, to share stories and songs of Christmas together, because the Christmas message is more important this year than ever before.
We need a story of strangers making room for each other. We need stories of kindness and generosity and the power of risking your own safety to care for another. We need stories that remind us that each of us have gifts to offer, and stories that remind us of the magic present in the everyday, in the ordinary miracle of life here and now. Welcome, Christmas. Let us sing out with joy to all the world.
Joy to the world, the word is come. Let earth with praises ring. Let every heart prepare a room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, let gladness reign. Let hearts their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy.
Make room in your heart for something new. Prepare for the possibility of magic and miracles, the presence of angels and camels and cows, sheep and shepherds suddenly surrounding us.
Asking us to gather in the dark of night, refusing to believe that we've seen it all before, unwilling to let fear keep us from following the star. The bright light of hope, the good news of love that is born again today.
Once more, the story calls to us to make the journey into the unknown, believing that together we can awaken the world to joy, to justice, to kindness, to peace once again.
Come, let us celebrate Christmas and let us worship together.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
A long, long, long time ago, in a city far, far away from here, there lived a treacherous ruler named Caesar Augustus. One day, Caesar called together his advisors and said,
I need more money to fund my armies. Send out soldiers to all the lands. They must tell the people that no matter where they are now, they must journey back to the town where they were born, and everyone must sign their name in a big book and then pay me a tax.
In one of those towns, a place called Galilee, there were two teenagers named Mary and Joseph. Mary and Joseph were young and unsure of their future, except they knew they loved each other. And Mary was about to have a baby. Following Caesar's order wasn't easy for them. They had to travel all the way from Nazareth to Bethlehem, where Joseph was from. They didn't have cars or buses or planes. They had to walk the whole way. It was a hard journey, especially with Mary, almost ready to have her baby. They were very, very tired, and they couldn't wait to rest and sleep.
When Joseph and Mary got to Bethlehem, their worst fears were true. They went from one place to another, knocking and asking, but there was no room for them anywhere. Mary was so close to giving birth, they were cold and worried, but they remembered the angels who had come to visit them before the journey had started. Angels who said, "Don't be afraid."
Mary and Joseph were so desperate, they decided to ask even those places with no vacancy signs if they could possibly squeeze in, which is what brought them to the door of this one inn, deep in the dark of night. When this innkeeper saw them, he took pity on them.
I'll let you sleep in my old stable out back, but you need to know the stable is old and not very clean. It's a place for my animals to stay. It's the donkey, the cow, the goat. It smells kind of bad, but you'll be safe for the night.
Mary and Joseph were so grateful for the shelter and the kindness of the innkeeper. They gathered close to each other, and the animals gathered near them.
Away in a manger, no crib for a bed. The little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep in the hay. The cattle are lowing, the baby awakes, but little Lord Jesus no crying he makes. I love thee, Lord Jesus, look down from the sky and stay by my cradle till morning is nigh.
In our story, no one had any room. Their hearts were closed. Then one person, the innkeeper, decided to help. They didn't do it perfectly, but they found a way to make some room. This is a story about opening our hearts and making room for anyone who needs to be cared for.
Please place your own hands on your heart and repeat these words after me. May my heart help me remember that I am like the innkeeper. May my heart help me remember that I can open my heart to others.
And so it was that while they were in the stable, Mary gave birth to her son. She wrapped him in a clean cloth and laid him in the manger. The new parents called their baby Jesus, and they loved him more than they knew was possible. But before too long, they remembered their fear. What was going to happen? Who knows what the evil Caesar Augustus has been up to? Would they be okay? Could they make the journey home? When? How? They held their baby close and looked up at the sky, hoping for a sign.
These days, like the days of our story, there are many in our community who also feel scared, who feel unsure about their future, unsure what's going to happen and if they will be okay. 10 months into the pandemic, with the eviction moratorium set to expire in just a few days, applications for support to help with housing payments are at an all-time high. Like the young family in our story, families in our own community are facing the possibility of being left without shelter in an extremely vulnerable time. Not just in the middle of a pandemic, but in the middle of winter. Affordable housing in our community was already at a crisis point long before this year, but many who were already a little on the edge but hanging in there are now finding themselves facing impossible and unforeseen circumstances far beyond their control. Tonight, we have the chance to be that innkeeper that looks into the face of those with nowhere else to turn and says, we will make room. And tonight we have the chance to be that angel in the story that says, be not afraid. We got you. This Christmas, we can be that community that makes room in our hearts by giving in a way that feels good to help our neighbors. Giving in a way that says we know that none of us can have a real Christmas, the real message of Christmas, if any of us are left out in the cold. We can surround our neighbors in solidarity, generosity, and in love. You can give this evening by texting the amount to give that you want to give and the word share to 84321. So you might text 100 share to 84321 or 200 share, or get the idea, whatever amount is the amount that your heart calls you to give. You can also give by going to the link foothillsuu.org/share the plate. Everything you give will be shared equally to support our neighbors through Neighbor to Neighbor and to support the mission of Foothills Unitarian and the UU Church of Cheyenne, missions both of unleashing courageous love in northern Colorado and southern Wyoming and far beyond. We will now gratefully receive your offering.
Now in the story and in this same country, there were shepherds living out in their fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. Their flocks were made of sheep and cows and goats, and the shepherds took care of them. They kept them together so they didn't get lost. If one did wander away and get lost, a shepherd would go and find it. It was very, very dark out in the field, and very cold, and sometimes very dangerous.
Shepherds are people who care for other living things. In our story tonight, the shepherds and their dog care for the sheep in the fields. But each one of us is like a shepherd. We need to take great care of each other and make sure the smallest of us are watched over. We help each other and we make sure that everyone is taken care of and is part of loving community. We make sure that no one is ignored and especially that no one is picked on. We help keep each other and everyone safe. In our story, the shepherds and their dog stay close to their flock, and sometimes with a gentle arm around them, protecting them and comforting them. Please wrap your arms around yourself or wrap your arms around someone near you and repeat these words after me. May these comforting arms help me remember that I am like a shepherd. May this embrace help me remember that I need to care for others.
Now, in this story, and in this same country, where there were shepherds living out in the fields, behold, an angel stood before them, and the glory of Spirit shone all around. The angel said to them,
Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy for all people. For a baby is born in the city of Bethlehem, and this will be the sign to you. You will find an ordinary baby sleeping in a manger. He is so poor, he's sleeping out with the animals. But there is great love inside this baby, just as there is great love inside each of you. The baby will grow up and try to show us how to live in peace and how to love each other. He will show us how we can be saviors for this world.
And suddenly the sky was filled with angels, singing beautiful songs and saying,
Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace and goodwill amongst all people.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, wise people from the east came to Jerusalem asking,
Where is he who has been born? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to pay homage.
These three wise people came from a faraway land, a land that was probably Iran or Iraq. They had seen a bright star in the sky, and they had followed it to the stable.
We followed the star because we knew it was a promise of the time when all people will be treated kindly, no matter what land they come from, no matter what they believe, no matter what color their skin might be, no matter who they love, and no matter how they create a family. That kind of place, those kind of people are what we've come to find.
We invite you now to become the star right here in your Zoom screen. You can create starlight with your hands, with your fingers, or with your whole body. As you shine like a star, repeat these words.
May this star remind me
May this star remind me
of the brightness and wisdom
of the brightness and wisdom
that is with me
that is with me
wherever I may go.
wherever I may go.
May our stars remind us of the wisdom and insight that we can share with each other. Let us sing together, We Three Kings.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us through this perfect night.
The wise ones brought with them gifts, traditional gifts brought to kings during their time, gold and frankincense and myrrh. Their gifts are why we now exchange gifts every Christmas. The wise ones introduced themselves and joined in the circle of people and animals that had gathered for this new and special life.
Everyone who had gathered was filled with joy. They didn't forget all that was happening around them, how terrible the ruler was, but they were so grateful to be together and to be part of this magic, this hope for change, for peace, and justice for all.
O come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold Him, born the King of angels. Venite adoremus, venite adoremus, venite adoremus Dominum. Lo, humble shepherds, hasting to His cradle, leaving their flocks in the fields,
is what happened on the first Christmas Eve. Jesus was born into the world. A loving family surrounded him. Friends gathered to celebrate him. And others came as well because they believed that there was so much goodness inside all people. And this is the belief that we hold right now in this moment.
The blessing of each of our births: ears to hear music, eyes to behold light, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other in love. A baby named Jesus was in a place where love was the most important gift of all.
We gather and live in that place too. As we are wrapped in that light and that love, we lift our hands and hearts and voices in song. This is the end of one story, and the beginning of another, and another, and another.
If you have joined us for our 7 p.m. service, our live service, rather than watching this later, then it is time now for you and for all of us to join together in our unsilent night. Here's how this works. You're going to go to unsilentnight.org if you haven't already, and find their recording of the song Silent Night in both English and Spanish. And then find some device to play that, your phone or a speaker, whatever works for you. And then find a candle, and then go out at 8 o'clock, that's Mountain Time, to your front porch, hit play, and then sing along. In that moment, we invite you just to stay present with the night sky, feeling connected to all the others who may be singing with you across this community and far beyond. Feel the presence of the stars, this great connection, this life that runs through everything that's holding us here and now. Be not afraid. Go out and sing together and continue to be a part of the movement of love born again and again. Merry Christmas.
Silent night, holy night, Son of God, O last for light, rain and peace from thy ways, with thy